Hi, Charlie. It's time for our chatting with Charlie, and it's the one that everyone's waiting for because it's about the October Visa Bulletin. And that's when we usually see a lot of movement and a lot of happy folks because the USCIS typically opens up the dates for filing. So let's get to it.
Exciting time always at the beginning of the fiscal year.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk family base first. A lot of green arrows here, looking like there was a lot of movement, right?
Yeah, this is very encouraging because they had held most of the family sponsored dates for the last 3 months of fiscal 25. So, this is very encouraging news to see these movements. I would point out that the F2A category advanced almost a year and a half. I would not be surprised if some or all of these dates were to hold for a month or two, but the dramatic movement in the F2A category would indicate potentially that the demand has started to collapse and they had to move it so much to generate new demand. I saw that happen in July of 2019. I had to make the category current after significant movements leading up to that with no impact. I made it current and it remained current for a long period of time just to generate demand. So, encouraging news for all the family sponsored applicants.
Yeah, good news, good news. So let's go to employment base. And what we did was we flagged in blue the new fiscal year because now we're in fiscal year 2026. And what you can see is EB1 continues to be current. And then EB2 for all chargeability moved up a couple months. But then we look at EB3 and EB3 stays the same. So any comments here, Charlie?
Yeah, it's an outstanding move in employment second preference, but I'm a little concerned that they had such a dramatic movement of the EB2 date, yet held the EB3 date, which is a little bit surprising. I would expect maybe that the EB2 date would potentially hold for November and or December, and hopefully the EB3 date will move for November. Maybe they had to hold it because of pent up demand in EB3 that could not be satisfied during September when they had to make the category unavailable.
Okay. Yeah, you bring up a good point. So for this month in September, everything is unavailable, correct?
Yes, they've announced that the EB1, 2, 3, and EW categories are the limits have been reached. Therefore, they cannot provide any additional numbers for new requests for numbers, and things will have to wait until they open up again in October 1st.
Which is only a couple weeks away, so not too
Yeah,
long.
and the fact that they made things unavailable is actually a good thing. That means that they maximized or should have maximized number use under the fiscal 2025 annual limits, which is exactly what everybody wants.
Okay. And then let's go look at China. Wow, we see some good movement here in China. So EB1 moves up over a month to December. And then EB2, wow, moves up a few months also. And then EB3 also moves up as well. So any comments here, Charlie?
Yeah, I would expect with the EB1 China, the date to hold. I think we're going to see a repeat of what happened last year. So they had a nice move for October. That date is likely to remain holding for several months. The EB2 and 3, both of them moved 3 months, EB2, 3.5. Again, I think that these are outstanding moves, which are very encouraging to everybody, but I think that they're a little dramatic and could result in these dates being held for a period of time while they see what the actual impact is. I may have preferred that it moved a little less so that they could move more incrementally. But again, uh, very nice movement for October, and people should take advantage of it.
Okay. And then if we look at India, we also see EB1 is staying steady, hasn't moved since April of 2025. And then we see movement for EB2, moved up a few months again. And then we see EB3 also moved up a few months. So any comments here, Charlie?
Yeah, again, I would not expect any movement in the EB1 for a period of time. There's plenty of demand. They can hold off and move it later in the year as needed. With EB2 and EB3, they both advanced 3 months. Again, dramatic moves. I would think that this would signal that they may be held for November and December while they see the impact of it. Again, as I said with China, I would have preferred maybe smaller incremental moves. I don't want people to see these dramatic moves of 3 months in categories and expect that this will continue. This is because they have numbers at the beginning of the fiscal year under the new supply, and they're making things available.
Okay, and then if we look at dates for filing, how have those numbers moved too?
Many of the dates for filing advanced, and I would expect that the dates for filing on Chart B will remain in effect for an early adjustment of status filing, probably through at least January. Typically, they allow them to remain open and then close them sometime in the January through March timeframe. But again, people should act in a very timely manner, and everybody that can should file in October just to be safe.
Yeah, we're quite busy at our office because we've got a lot of happy people who want to go ahead and file their adjustment of status applications. And just really quickly for our worldwide limits and our per country limits, this is the estimated for this year. And what are your comments about that?
Yeah, I've put these together. These are estimated. I think this would be best case scenario, but even in a worst case, it's only going to make an impact of a couple hundred numbers one way or the other on the per country limits. But basically, we're going to be seeing in fiscal 2026 essentially the same limits we saw last fiscal year for 25. Again, as long as rest of world second preference has a final action date, that is going to mean that both China and India are subject to their EB2 per country limit, which is going to slow potential movement of those final action dates going forward.
Okay, and then now we're going to look at your predictions for EB1, EB2, and EB3 for the monthly movement for the rest of the fiscal year. So why don't you run through this with us?
For EB1, current for rest of world, moving up to 3 weeks in EB2, up to 1 week in EB3, up to 2 weeks in first. When I say up to, that means absolutely none up to 2 weeks. And again, I would expect that the China maybe to hold for a period of time. EB2, 3 weeks movement up to and up to 4 weeks. I think that the EB3 is very optimistic, but based on the initial movement and the announcement of the application filing date, I think there's a potential for up to 4 weeks. With India, I really think that in most times we'll hold that date, but if we get lucky, up to 1 week movement, up to 2 weeks in EB2, and up to 4 weeks in EB3. And these would be movements over a period of time. So these should not be seen as what's going to happen for November and what's going to happen for December. This would be the average over the 3 month period. But these are kind of my optimistic targets to give you some idea. But you should never make any type of plans until you actually see the actual final action dates have been announced.
Yeah, and we actually have a Chatting with Charlie webinar. So if you want to sign up, it's going to be on Thursday, the 25th. And we also have an upcoming event with you in October at the Worldwide ERC Global Conference in Salt Lake City. And so Charlie's going to have a crystal ball happy hour. So he's going to be forecasting. And if you're interested in signing up, please go ahead and check out the link below and you can find information on how to sign up. There's going to be prizes and, of course, the chance to take pictures with Charlie, which is always a big deal. So, anything else, Charlie, you want to say as we close off our updates?
No, just that it's exciting times and people should take advantage of the ability to file in October and, you know, move forward. Always act in a very timely manner with your cases.
Thank you, Charlie. Chat again soon.
Take care.